Good evening and welcome to Feferity Radio. This is your nostalgic station. It's Tuesday, the last day in May. We want to say thank you very much to May for guiding us and for keeping us safe. For those who are lost members and for those who are not feeling too well, our heart goes out to all of you. But we want to say big thank you to May for looking after all of us in different ways. Well, today is going to be a very special show because I'll be having a conversation with a very special man in the community, an activist, a radio broadcaster, and a camera man by the name of Brother Prophet Kwaku. So let me play you Jimmy Riley because it's in my head today. I don't know why. Here is Love and Devotion. I'm coming straight at you after this. sounds of Jamie Riley. That was actually in my head all day, so I'm like, yeah, why not? Well, let's stay in, in the love arena for now. Dennis, the Crown Prince of Reggae, Dennis Emmanuel Brown.
She said, I know where I'm going. When we knew she was lost.
You know, I tell you what's been going on with my data, right? This is, I did it the other day, where it's so mixed up at the moment. It's unbelievable. So I get different artists coming through. It's quite mixed, but I don't know how to explain it. I've been having this problem since I came back. But let's do it this way, right? Because this is another great tune. When you talk about love, right? It's so great that money is not everything, isn't it, in life? Especially when you have few and you spend it on women. And you're waiting for that day when you have none and see who comes around you. That's when you know it's not everything. That's right. Dennis Emmanuel Brown, I want to welcome you to Feferity Radio. This is your nostalgic station. My name is Freestyle, and my special guest today, the brother, the prophet, Kwaku, in the house. Well, a lot of us might know, well, will know Kwaku, might know Kwaku if you're in the London area, because he's been one of the voices that speaks out for black people in terms of, white oppression and discrimination and all that. But at the same time, we know him through the arena of probably activism, reparation, radio, what was it, Power Jam, and Genesis, now on Galaxy. At the same time, I don't know Mr. Kwaku, our brother, on a personal time. I don't know about his family. I don't know about what he likes about football. You know what I mean? I don't know, what kind of rave he used to go to, what kind of music he would chill out with when he's on holiday. What, if he's a good cook. We don't know that, do we? We don't. So today we're going to find out all of that and much more. But I asked him earlier on, I goes, who is your favorite artist? And quickly answered, Sugar Booger Minot. And here, of course, on Feferity Radio, we do have it. The good thing going for you 24/7.
See that girl? She does something to my chemistry. And when I'm close, I'm sure she raised my temperature by 3 degrees. Every day, in every wish she makes, my mother curse. And I reciprocate, my life I dedicate to loving her. For we got a good thing going, a real good thing going, yes, that girl and me. And I don't have to ask, I know that it's gonna last eternally. Now let me tell you what, understanding, we're never hand in hand, the alibi. For you know what you do, where you've been, so what's the use in telling lies? For we've got a good thing going, a real good thing going, yes, that girl and me. We've got it good, so let's get it on, let's get it on, let's get it on, girl. So we've got a good thing going, a real good thing going, yes, that girl and me. And I don't have to rest, I know that it's gonna last eternally. Yeah, baby, we've got it. We've got it good. We've got it good. So let's get it on. So we've got a good thing going. A real good thing. Oh, what a rub. Oh, what a tub. Oh, what a roll. Oh, what a rub. Oh, lie. Babylon, it just a mash up my life. 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 Oh, well, we live in a rough old life. Life, starvation, tribulation, trying to keep a dreadlocks down. Oh, what a rough old life. It's our time. It's our time. We live in a rough old life. Life. getting kinda hard now. Still I keep my vigil of being it just can't turn away. It's not hard to see the love that dwell in me, but this life is not for me. Oh, what a rough old life. We war and injustice when the love seems to be in vain. I can't stand all the pain. Oh no. Oh yeah. We live in a rough old life. A rough old life. We live in a rough old life. Oh, what a rough old life. Yeah.
Two from Mr. Sugar Minor. We're here till 9 p.m. You can join us. You can send in your question. We are live also on YouTube. So make sure you participate. 0 is +447 305 417 And WhatsApp, you can text. And our brother is here, our brother Kwaku. You can call. And I'm sure today we're going to learn one or two things from our brother that we've probably never know about. Like, for example, is he a good cook? No, I'm not talking about rice and peas, because that one, let's leave it. We're talking about eba, egusi. Let's see. So you're welcome to participate here. We are live on YouTube. Let us know how you're feeling, how you're thinking, from where you're listening to from.
Tribulation, try to keep a good man down.
That's right. Tribulation and all the problems given to us by the political system, if you would say. Some would say religious. Some would say economic. That shows we're so divided, isn't it? And my brother here, brother Prophet Kwaku, is not a stranger to the system. If you've seen him, he's not a giant. Not in stature or in height. But I tell you what, his voice has always been raised very high. Highly, some might say. To a point you might say he's a very controversial man. Some cannot just stand the things that he has to say, has been saying before. And I'm sure he's experienced one or two fights, tribulation on the way. So he's not a stranger. So we want to hear more from him this evening here on Feferity Radio. So my brother, Prophet Kwaku, welcome to Feferity Radio. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, we say Otep and greetings in the name of the creating force of the universe, the omnipotent being that which is greater than ourselves, who has many names. Oludumare Nkulukulu, Kwame Blafa She Mungo Onyeme Modamfo, Mare Ama Ja Amenra Ashe Ashe Ashe.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I would love to know all of those greetings. Are they greetings? Are they...
Yeah, they're all African. They're all different names.
Yes.
That different groups of Africans called the creating force of the universe.
Okay, from which part of the continent?
Well, Oludumare is I'm from Nigeria.
Nigeria, yeah.
You know, and one of them is from Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't say Ghana. I'm from the Ashanti people. Right. The Oludumare is the Yoruba people. And then you have one Maris for the Shona people, the ancient Cometians, so different groups in Africa call the creating force of the universe different names.
Yes.
You see, and one is from the people from South Africa, the Zulu them.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, in order to bring a umoja, Swahili, for unity amongst our people as an African who's in the diaspora and a descendant of the kidnapped people, I coined that phrase myself.
Okay.
You see, so
That's
and
really.
then obviously, because I have an affiliation and grew up around Rastafari, the Rasta them called the creating force of the universe, Jah.
Mhm.
And
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go through all of that because you've gone through a lot of transformation yourself.
So, yes, I have.
And these countries and greetings that you've just represent is places I'm sure that you've been to.
Yeah, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Northern Sudan, I've been to Gambia, I've been to Senegal. So I've been a few African places, and I've been some of them more than once.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you come with a great understanding about and for those places that you've been to. Now, what generation? Come back to the United Kingdom because that's where you were born, right?
Yes, I was born right here.
Is it a first generation or second?
I would say that I'm part of the first generation in mass that was born here. So I'm a 60s child.
Right.
I was born in the 60s. I was born in 1962.
Which part of London?
I was born right around here in Brixton.
In South. Okay.
South London.
Right.
South London. I was born in Dulwich Hospital, which is no more.
Places like that, when you go past Dulwich, that very hospital, do you feel like part of your history has been erased?
No, I mean, they've changed the hospital. They've sold it off. A piece of the hospital is sold off to a private school. Another piece is a medical center now. So, it's not part of my history. I wouldn't say that's where my mum had me.
Yeah.
My mum is my history.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people born in the 60s who, not many hospitals are there to sort of represent.
and not even in the 60s, but even in the 80s, because one of my daughters, she was born in the women's hospital in Clapham South. It's now a Tesco's.
Yeah, that's right.
There used to be a children's hospital down on the bottom of Clapham Road. It's now flats.
So at that time, take us back, paint a picture for us, because you're a cameraman, so you've got a very good eyes of the things that you're seeing. Paint a picture for us with young. Is it Kwaku at that time they used to call you?
No. Let me just clear all that up before we move any further.
Yeah.
I changed my name by Depot. Yeah. I'm not gonna say what my name was before, but those who know me know what that was before.
Oh, for the
no
listeners and Feferity that we don't know, is it one of the things that we should be? I mean, we all have these names.
Yeah, but I don't.
And some of us do.
Right. The reason why I got rid of that name is because
Yeah.
I don't recognize that name. That name, being that I'm an African, that is a descendant of the Africans that were kidnapped from Mama Africa and enslaved in concentration camps that they call plantations. And we weren't allowed to use our own names. We weren't allowed to use our own language. So I've reclaimed my name, and I attempt to reclaim my language and my culture. And so therefore, I've thrown away that name. And I asked permission of my parents before I did it.
Oh, right. Okay, tell us about that.
Well, I told them that I'm going to change my name.
Because, again, I was thinking, it's a very solemn thing to do. Because it's like you're leaving part of your family behind. So, I mean, how many family members thought that was a good idea, and how many thought that they might join you, or was there sort of like a dispute within the family at that time?
Well, the first name Kwaku was given to me by a family of Ghanaians that I grew up with. It was their dad, who was actually a king, an Ashanti king, and he told me, look, that
this was later on.
This is way back when I was about 14.
Okay.
And so when I used to ever go to the house, he said, you look like the Bonsu people. So he used to call me Kwaku Bonsu.
Okay.
So that was my name. But
at that time, how did you receive it?
I was quite, I was always cultured from a youth. I was always cultured from you, so I embraced that.
All right.
You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
Tracy was
saying?
in the Ghanaian home at that time.
Yeah, and
She was
I grew up with them. I was friends with them and things like that, and I was always around there. So, the dad used to call me Kwaku. And because I'm born on a Wednesday, because Kwaku means a child of Wednesday, and so he gave me that name. I didn't change it until I was way up in my 30s.
So what happened within the family? Was there a family rife? I mean, at that time when you decided to change all of it, because it's not just like your first name.
Well, strangely enough, my dad had no problems with it. My mum was a bit resistant in the beginning, but I explained to them why I'm doing it, and that's what my mum calls me. My father who's passed away now. That's what they used to call me. My brothers, my sisters, my cousins, my friends.
Was there any point where one of them were calling you your other name that they know you by, and you get really...
People that have known me years would do that from time to time, and especially if they don't see on a regular basis. The ones who see me on a regular basis,
okay,
they just call me that. The ones who don't see me on a regular basis, they go, "Oh yeah, I forgot. It's Kwaku."
Did you respond to it?
No, well, you see, when I first did it, and people, obviously there were some people, well, I know you's this, and that's how I know you, and things like that. And I said, well, if you respect me, you call me what I choose to call myself.
It's like Muhammad Ali and
yeah,
when
you
he
see what I'm
was
saying.
boxing,
So
you
you have that, and you have some people they're a bit stubborn and I can't pronounce it, but I say you can pronounce Gertrude though, innit?
So tell us then, because that is a very interesting point. I want to just go back at that time in the 60s. Little Kwaku running, into the Ghanaian house, eating some kenke and,
No,
really
it wasn't
loving
until I was about 13, 14.
14.
But 13, no,
Yeah.
earlier than that, innit? About 13, 14, I used to visit.
Okay. What was the mindset at that time? Was it like church going, on a Sunday?
Well, I grew up in church. My parents were Christians. Well, not my parents. My mom was a Christian. She's a devoted Christian till today. And I grew up in church, Sunday school. Went Sunday school, did boys brigade, all of that type of stuff. So when I used to go to the, they were called, they were prempes. So it wasn't like that really. I was be friendly with the daughters and things like that. And we used to go out together. We used to go club and all them things there. And used to visit around, they eat food and things like that. It was just cool.
How was school at that time? Going to school. What was the schooling environment at the time?
You're talking in my infants, or you're talking when I went secondary school? Which period?
Like your primary time, because you said this consciousness started very early. So
well, my primary school days, growing up in the 60s, back in those days. The, racism was overt. It was in your face. They would call you little Sambo and your little wog and things like that, So it was in your face. My primary school, I enjoyed it, but there were times when I had confrontations with teachers. I remember at a very, very young age, probably around about 6, I had a confrontation with a teacher.
What was that about?
We was doing maths. And one of my friends was twins. One of them is the ancestors now. But we were doing maths and we came up and the teacher said we all got the same answer, but it was the right answer. So she sent us back down to do it again, and we came back up and she said, right, you still got the same answer, but it was the correct answer. So she tell me if we go stand up in the dustbin.
Huh?
Yeah, so I said, I ain't standing in no dustbin. I was about 6, 7 them time. Probably 6, I was about 6. I never forget the woman's name. Her name was Miss O'Brien, a big looking, she was beautiful. When you're small and you're young, and she was fat and she was huge. She's a great looking woman. But she was a very serious teacher. And
Maths teacher?
No, it was primary school. It was primary school. So they teach every little,
all right, different
subjects. And after... She said, well, if you don't stand in the thing, you're not going out to play or thing. Eventually, my brethren went and stand in the dustbin, but I refused to stand in the dustbin.
Why did you refuse at that time?
Because if I knew that I was correct, I may never do nothing wrong. There's no way you're gonna make me admit to it or do me something and I accept it and I never did nothing. Because I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing wrong. So what am I standing in the dustbin for? So I didn't stand in it.
Well, you think, I mean, somehow you didn't realize that you did something, or she doesn't, you know, I mean, you feel like she doesn't
She
like
didn't believe.
you.
She didn't believe me. She didn't believe me. I don't know whether she did like or dislike, but she never believed me. That's the truth. Yeah. And so me decided, so me now standing on the dustbin.
So what happened after that?
Well, what happened is everybody, when it came to break time, she let everybody out, and she refused to let me out, and it kicked off. And she tried to grab me, and I threw stuff after her, and I broke her foot
Wow.
with a chair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I broke her
big,
foot. Yeah,
big,
big. I just
giant
took the
woman.
chair and just lick her up on her foot. She dropped.
And what happened after that? That's
Other
serious.
teachers came and they locked me in the and she was calling me a little black this and that, you know, and they locked me in the bedroom in the classroom, and they sent for my mum. And when my mum came, you know, my mum asked me what happened and things like that, and I was going on with myself. And when my mum came, you know, she took me home. And my mum gave me a beating.
Yeah, sure. At that time,
She gave me a beating. And then they said
she
to
was
mum,
on the side. I mean, these things, it's like so common, isn't it, back then, where the parents have
Yeah.
to be on the side of the teachers no matter what.
But my mum wasn't always on the side of the teachers.
Yeah,
My mum wasn't always on the side of the teachers.
yeah,
But that incident,
yes.
and then what happened is they said they told my mum that she couldn't bring me back to school
Yeah,
unless she took me for a psychiatric report.
right.
Because I had this thing that they hated, that the teachers hated black people. Because I told them they hated, you don't like black people. I was young that time. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so my mum refused, and my mum took them to the education authority to let me back into school.
I don't know, sir. I've got a call here. It's Clifton. I'm not sure if you want to go live.
Is that, yeah, whatever.
But
go on.
yeah, keep talking. No, he's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, but that wasn't my first experience with racism. My first experience with racism was when I was about 4, before I even started school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was outside. We used to live in a end of terrace house. And I was outside one day in the days when you could let 4-year-olds out and play by themselves, you know what I mean? And I was throwing the ball on the wall, and this little European boy, he had his Batman suit on, and he lived in the flats opposite, because we lived in the house, but he lived in the flats opposite. And he came and he grabbed my ball, but me thinks him want to play with me.
Yeah.
So me thinks the guy go throw my ball back to me. See the boy I run off with my boss, I'm gonna run him down. I'm gonna grab him by him cape. I'm gonna swing him. And give him 2 lick and take my ball. He was about the same age as me. Anyway, he run and got his brother, his older brother,
Right.
which probably his older brother must have been about probably maybe 8, 9, something like that. And him come out and him rush me try a thing, but to no avail. So I'm gonna go get my brother. And then my brother come and we put it upon them and broke them up. So them run go get their mother.
Wow.
So when the mother come now,
Escalating.
yeah, the mother come now, and I call you little, you know, of course we have and call you little waggy and all. Ooh, my mother come and see. My mom was coming down the road and saw her. My mom just get to her. My mom just get. Then she got her husband, and my mother broke up the husband.
Oh wow.
And them car.
Not physically.
Yes, man.
This was like a big
Yeah,
thing
man.
then, isn't it?
Yeah, and then what happened is I think the police them come, but in those days, the police them kind of did fair, you know, were fair to the Africans, some Africans at that time, because at that time the policeman said, "You're a man, you shouldn't have gone over there and trouble the woman." And when my dad came home the evening, and go over there with the max and warn them off. Yeah, and that I was 4 years old then. I was 4 years old then. So by the time I reached school, I recognized the behavior.
So was it a time where they rate you as a 4-year-old, you know, after all of that debacle? Yeah. Was it like a rating as a 4-year-old?
No, not really. No,
was it like, that was it, done, no more? It doesn't kind of like move on and spill over it the next month or the next. I mean,
No,
the next week,
that was it. That was the end of that episode.
So things back then, you can get into a fight or altercation with someone, and you can solve it there and then.
Yeah, I mean, most of the times there and then, as I got older, sometimes it lingered on a bit because you had fights as you got older. You, as young people, you catch up in fight and things like that. You know what I mean? But it wasn't anything as sinister as now. You had a lot of fist fights, and I used to like fighting. I'd fight at the drop of a hat when I was younger. And the bigger you are was I always fight big people bigger than me. I'd fight to people.
Why? I mean, what's your size for people who?
I'm about 5'4".
5'4".
Yeah, about 5'4", 5'5".
Is it like you feel like you're gonna get attacked by people? So it's a form of defense. That's where you like to put it on?
No. I'm not. On the contrary, it wasn't that. I didn't have no fear. I wasn't scared of nobody. I wasn't scared of no one. Anybody me fight? You want to fight? We could go there now.
So an interesting thing listening to you is that you were born here from the 60s, and the way you sounded like you just come from Jamaica.
Well, obviously my parents are Jamaican.
Yeah,
Jamaican born, and I come from a very big family, on both sides, especially my mom's side. And we're kind of renowned for, I defend the ends. And then I grew up in an area, I grew up in Brixton, innit? In those days, it was a very high, Caribbean influence, mainly Jamaican influence. And so the culture that us as Africans who were born in the 60s followed was a culture of the Caribbean. So if you was a St. Lucian, you followed the culture of St. Lucia. If you're Dominican, you follow the culture of Dominica. Sometimes if you was Barbadian, you'd follow the culture of Barbados. If you're Jamaican, you follow the culture of Jamaica. Because that was the culture that was in your home. You understand? And then when we met on the road, we all liked the same music, which was reggae music at the time, or probably, moved on reggae groove and soca. So we all experienced the same thing. Whether you was here in Brixton, London, or Answorth, Birmingham, or Chapeltown, Leeds, or St. Paul's, Bristol, we all had a similar experience of racism, antagonism, institutional racism, and over attacks from the police. We all had the same experience.
Okay, so for you, in your case, when did that, because you said like in terms of the language, because it's something that people wonder, that for a man who was born here and you sounded so much like you're coming from the Caribbean each time you speak. And most Jamaicans, even though they, of course, they defend the end by, represent themselves as Jamaicans or parents from Jamaica.
I can speak Barbadian too, man.
Yeah, but I mean, someone would like to, kind of like, we think like, talk like a have a Cockney accent or.
Yeah, I can
English.
do that and all, mate.
Is it?
Yeah, I can do that and all.
Okay.
I could give it some of that if you want.
In a cool and calculated way.
Yeah,
like normally.
I can give it some of that. It's not a problem. I think, when we were growing, most of us as Africans who were born in the 60s, we're kind of like quadruple lingual. Because we had a way that we spoke when we was out on the road with each other. We had another way that we spoke when we was in school. We had a way that we answered the phone. And we had a way that we spoke to our parents.
Yeah, because I've seen it as well where people have used the Jamaican language as a form of a threat, right? So someone might be talking, because I've seen it from Africans as well, that are born in Africa, but when they get a little bit mad or confrontational with somebody, they got to going like they're Jamaican to create this sense of fear around. Is it a case for you, like in terms of rebellion, where you just kind of like abandon the English language and want to just go Jamaican because
no,
kind of like rebel, you know?
No,
you
on the contrary, you know, in my home, you know, my mother and father would say, "Top talk, so."
Like,
stop speaking like that. But when you say "top talk, so," proper English, but they're speaking patois to you. If you understand, so you pick up the accent. You understand me? I say, and then when you go to school now and you're amongst them people there, obviously you pick up that lingua, and so we were able to pick up different linguas. I find that the young people now can't do that. They all speak one. They speak one way to everybody. You know.
Yeah, cause.
Well, I was like that, you know, and that's how they talk to everybody.
Yeah.
To their parents, to their friends, to their teachers. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying every single one of them, but a large proportion of them do. They have no way how to conduct themselves in different.
So what would you say for someone like yourself, born here, and every time, you know, I mean, you speak to Brother Kwaku, Prophet Kwaku, you know, it's like this. And is there a way to continue that sort of rebellion against the system that you know very well you're born in, that have done injustice to you personally and to your fellow family and extended society as black as a whole, Africans as a whole? Is that why you continue as a form of a defense?
No,
speak like this all the time.
No, because see the white man, wherever he goes, don't change the way he speak. He doesn't change the way he dress. Yeah, if he goes to Spain, he want chips. In come Africa, he want chips, he want fries. He doesn't change who he is anywhere he goes. You might have the odd one do, but his system, they do not change wherever they go. So why should I? I'm an African. I'm an African coming out of the continent of West Africa around about the 15th century. On a ship they called the good ship Jesus, that was commissioned by Elizabeth I, who commissioned John Hawkins to go and capture Africans and sell them and make money. Coming out of the island of Jamaica, the parish of St. Anne's, where my parents flew into this country. They didn't come on no wind rush. They flew into this country in 1960 and 61 on BOAC Terminal while Heathrow, Brixton, African. That's who I am.
So I have also, right, hear people say, like, an African born in the continent speaks very well English. Or English very well.
Speaks better English than even some of the English people there.
So in contrary to that, I've had, like, some Westerner will say, talk like an African, you know what I mean? Don't pretend. So this is why I'm quite fascinated about yourself, born here, right? Not in Jamaica. What about Jamaicans who are born in Jamaica and tend to speak the Queen English? How do you feel about them, if at all?
All right. It's a very good question, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody in any of my answers. I want to be as truthful as I can be from my own opinion.
This is Feferity, man.
Yeah. And in my opinion, those people are hiding from themselves. Yeah. And some of them feel that when they speak like that, they are educated. But sometimes some of them have grown within a particular society. Because you have societies in Jamaica that, you know, them not deal with the ordinary African, them who move around, you know. Them are some high society people. And them go a high society school. And they're forced to speak a certain way. And so sometimes it's not their fault. But oftentimes you will hear them speak and all of a sudden they will go into the lingua. Because them still have the lingua, you know. Them still have it. You understand? And it's because European has made the way they are seem superior. Remember what I said? The pronoun before what I just said. Seem superior. Because they've promoted it around the world. And everybody feels that, why, you know, if my French, you know, you understand? Yeah?
Shout out to all the French people.
Yeah. if it's English, if it's the English, then yes, we've got roll our eyes, T's, and etc. One has
What's
to.
wrong with that?
Yeah, so one has to keep the vernacular.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
And some people feel that when they speak like that, you're being professional, you're articulating yourself. But I'm from the original people of planet Earth. I'm from the people that created language, that created communication.
But you see what I'm trying to say,
that
right?
created writing.
That's exactly what
you
I'm trying to say.
understand what I'm saying to you? That's where I'm from.
So when you have people who, like, you're born in Africa and then you in America or in England and he speaks very good English. Many people, I mean, I have had that sort of counter where people are saying,
no, but me notice the way you talk still in my brother freestyle.
Yeah.
But you, the language, what's the language of your family?
My mother is Mende and my father is a Creole.
Yeah, but can you speak Mende?
No, not very well at all.
No, but can you say a few words in it?
Like Zebisie, Kaingoma, Yeah. My point.
Zebisie, Kaingoma.
Yeah, but that's not the intonation. However, though, my point is that what people don't realize is when you have been to a place, like, for example, you started by saying these different African, languages and greetings, right? Now, I'm from the continent, and I find it very fascinating, and I ask you, what does that mean? And if you've been those places, he says yes. Now, that's what happened. When you been places or you live in an environment, you adapt. You take in some of the element of that environment. But also education, don't forget. This is what I'm saying is very important, because I've seen in the black community, we spend time in this petty argument about the way we speak. Not about what we are talking about, right? But it's about the way we speak. So that is why I really ask you, because for somebody who's educated and been to a school.
I'm Africated.
Okay, right. You see, even all of that, I will say is also good to break things down. Because I remember when I was on Galaxy, it was like Overstand or Next Moon. And I'm like, okay, could you let the listeners know? Because, like people that will listen to my show, because I'm not coming from the Rasta community, they might not understand what Next Moon or Next Strong means. So it's always good to say when you says Next Strong, that means next week, so people know. But however,
it might mean the next period in the strong.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So, it's always good to kind of explain things as well. But do you see where I'm coming from? Where, for me, I don't see anything wrong, because even though you're born here, there are British people, also black British, who will see you as a rebel for no just cause, because you're not speaking like an Englishman.
Well, you see, the thing about is this: if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to Azania, which they call South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, and places where there are high concentrations of Europeans, and most of those Europeans can't speak any of the native languages. Most of it. You'll have one or two of them that dabble in it and things, but in general, most of them can't. They speak whatever colonialistic language they came from. But nobody talks about that. Nobody don't see that as something to speak about. Yet the minority of people that's on the planet, people are more worried about you speaking like them.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I haven't got a problem with it. But imagine, this is what I ask you about Jamaicans born in
the first time me got Jamaica now, they might ask me how me talk so.
Exactly. But
them
some
you talk so.
But don't you think some who are there might thinking you want to take over? Who are you to speak like that when you're born in England?
No, I've never experienced that.
No?
No, never.
Well, that's incredible.
I've never experienced that. In all my years I got Jamaica. I mean, no, not African, whether them come.
So they kind of brace you even though you're born here. They don't think like.
No, them call you little English still, Them still call you English.
So how do you feel about that then? Because it's like, this is my point. When you're back home and then they call you little English, I mean, you can't every day defend that. But how do you feel about it?
Well, the reality is this. I'm English born. But they don't say it in a way to kind of degrade you. Some may say that, but in general, them just say because them know so that's where you come from. Like if you're in Jamaica and you born a country and you go town, the town man them call you country boy. And if you come from town and go a country, them call you town. Hey, it's a town man that you know. It's just depicting of where you originate from in terms of your birth, so to speak.
Right. Well, let's take a track and keep your. I can see we've got some, people logged in and sending in some messages. I'm going to read that, but keep them coming in. You can also send your text message on +447305417668. Leave a comment in the comment box.
My brother, them not got hear the number. You have to read the number a bit slower for people to catch it.
All right. Can you read it?
Yeah, 07 305 417 668. Feferity Radio, live on the internet.
Thank you very much. Let's take a track now. This Bonnie Wailer. I'm sure you will like this one. Fighting Against Conviction.
Yeah, Bonnie Wailer was another brother that I enjoyed immensely.
And then when we come back, we're going to talk about, because you've just given us a little bit of history about, in teens. And, in the 60s, it wasn't easy. Like you're saying, I don't know if it's a Ghanaian was your first love. I would love to know that. As an African Islam, I want to take credit for it. So let's find out after this track. Bonnie Wailer here on Feferity Radio. My special guest is our brother, Prophet Kwaku.
Battering down sentence, fighting against conviction, yeah. Battering down sentence, fighting against conviction. I find myself growing in an environment where finding food is just as hard as paying the rent. In trotting these roads of trial and tribulation, I've seen where some have died in desperation to keep battering down Satan, fighting against conviction. Battering down sentence, fighting against conviction. In a family of 10 and raised in the ghetto, hustling's the only education I know. Can't grow no crops in this concrete jungle. A situation like this is getting too tough to handle to keep battering down sentence, fighting against conviction. Battering down sentence all day long, fighting against conviction. With a pregnant woman, yes, and 5 kids to care for. Can't cool my heels, I've got to do the town. Skillful as I am, the jailer man is bound to find me. I pray the day will come when I shall be free from battering down sentence, fighting against conviction. battering down sentence. All live long day fighting against conviction. To be trapped and caught and taken before judge and angry jury, pleading before men who seem to have no mercy. Can't afford to find myself down in the dungeon. I've got to stay free so that my kids won't be battering down sentence, fighting against conviction, battering down sentence. All live long day now, fighting against conviction. Now a fugitive at large, could this be my destiny? With no one to care for the welfare of my family. In solitude I found new faith and hope, in this I'll be secure. For mind and soul would soon be weary, just couldn't take no more, battering down sentence. All live long day fighting against conviction. Children, hear me when I say battering down sentence. All day long fighting against conviction. Hear me when I sing my song, battering down sentence.
The sounds of Mr. Bunny Wheeler there, fighting against conviction. Well, I want to send a shout there to all those who are logged on YouTube. Whilst you're there, please, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. We're now trying to build up the channel. So we have plenty for you there to entertain yourself. Live shows. We did a live event at the Ritzy last Saturday. It's up there. Barry Dread and the Mystic Vibe. You can watch that, and many shows as well for you to continue to. But please make sure you subscribe to this channel and you share it as well. If you can put your notification on and give us a like. You know, I've got to say all of these things now. I've got to learn to say all of these things. But thank you very much for tuning this way. I want to send a shout there to Nevin Nicholas. Shout there to you. He says, yeah, log in. Chris Barrett, big tune. Thank you very much for that. I think that was from Bonnie Wheeler. And Caroline, shout there to you. Caroline Henry, shout there to you. Carol Green and Kojo Asari. Thank you very much, Bonsu. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure Kwaku as well. Oh yeah, what's Sir Chris Barrett is saying? It says salute to you, my brother Kwaku. Period. He likes to say that. Great show, DJ Freestyle. What do you think of that? It says, shout out to you, my brother Kwaku. Period. He always says that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my special guest today is our brother here. Is an activist. We're gonna come into that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Also he's a cameraman and a broadcaster. Brother Kwaku, Prophet Kwaku. And that's another thing as well. I'm so intrigued to find out about the prophet. Is it title of prophethood? I don't know how to say it. But let's come back to some good old days, because it's like you talk about, I think he was like 13. You're saying it's not even 14. You're saying 13 when he was going into the is it the Bonsu's house?
No, the Prempe.
The Prempe's house,
Prempe,
right?
Yeah.
Sorry there. Going to the Prempe's house, eating some nice Ghanaian food, and you're talking about friends with a daughter, and what was the name? Do you remember at the time?
I remember them. Antonella and Daniela Prempe.
Daniela, two girls. Oh wow. Okay, so tell us how this thing all started, because you can't escape that one. Like you wasn't dating one of them. I mean, I'm jumping into conclusion here.
Yeah, I mean, we were friends.
Yeah.
We were friends when we were growing up, and we stayed friends even till today, really.
But we're talking about the 60s, man. I mean, give us a little bit. I mean, how...
No, it wasn't the 60s. That would have been the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah,
that would
exactly
have
at
been
that
the
time.
70s. Yeah, that would have been the 70s.
You know, it was not as the children now have this great opportunity and freedom.
Yeah.
What was it like then?
You know, you got to be respectful. You know, the way our parents grow us up, you got people house. You can't go in people's house and just go in bedroom and all them things. Yeah? You've got to present yourself to the parents, and they liked me because I was quite respectful. You know, the parents did like me. I was respectful.
At that time, you were speaking like proper English, like. At that
No,
time.
I'm just talk like me. I talk no.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What did they think about that?
They not think nothing about it. Me just talk. Me just talk.
What about what's her name again?
Oh,
The daughters.
the daughters Antonella and Daniela.
What did they think about that? Is that what sort of like drawn them? You know,
No,
because women like men are rebel, you know, somehow.
In fact, they didn't live too far from where we are now.
Okay.
You know, we all grew up together. We went to youth club together. That's what it was. We used to go to youth club together, and that's how we link up. We used to go to St. Matthew's Youth Club. Before then, we used to go to St. Paul's. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where we met up, and that's where we became friends. It wasn't just
because
me.
at the time it's not easy. At that time, there was a lot of disrespect towards Africans and the children and family at that time. You know, but for you, it's quite exclusive. You know, it's not a common thing really at that time. You could say that. So, you know,
well, it depends in what groups brothers and sisters from the continent grew up, because like amongst us that didn't mean anything. They just roll with us and we just roll with them.
So
and being that the dominant culture at the time was Caribbean, they embraced the Caribbean flavor, but they never ever forgot their heritage and things like that. So I learned to say hello in Chi from them.
Oh wow! You see what man can do, you know what I mean, to get a woman. So that was your kind of first love.
No, I wouldn't say it was my first love. No.
You were too young, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you see, this is the thing as well. When they're talking about, because at that time, young boys, was it a thing to go out with older girls at that time? We're talking about 70s. Yeah, was it kind of thing even but amongst the older girls?
They weren't older than me. We were the same age.
Okay. So you're saying, I mean, that was like 13, 14. Because I was like, want to take credit for this, like our brother Prophet Kwaku. You know, his first love was a Ghanaian. Was he an African or from the Caribbean?
All Africans.
Yeah. I mean, but like, were they from Caribbean or was he?
It was who from the Caribbean? They were from Ghana.
Yeah. You saying that was not your first love, because I was going to take credit for that.
Oh,
like,
see.
Yeah.
No. No.
You know, at that time as well.
One of my first loves.
One of your first love.
Yeah.
And it's at that time, because I'm quite fascinated, I wasn't here, but you hear a lot of stories where, because of the social atmosphere at that time, the 70s towards the 80s, there was a lot of, you know, interracial, you know, fear going on. You know, it was a kind of liberation, isn't it? Were you ever like dated outside your black race?
No, don't date outside.
You wasn't even tempted at all? Because I'm sure, I mean, you got a pretty English girls back then, you know. Well, they still are.
No, I mean, look, we grew up in Brixton, innit? There was man who did that in Brixton. There's man who did that. There's white girls that look on us. You talk to them. But I never, you know.
Was it a thing whereby the kind of group that you're with at that time, we kind of like...
We wasn't exposed to European women like that in Brixton.
My goodness, man, you're talking TV back then in 70s
on the
Sierra
TV,
Leone,
but
in Africa.
But when
that's how we get exposed to them.
No, you're
all the
exposed
love
on
and
the
the
TV
kissing and all of that.
And all the rest of it. But
Yeah.
in terms of when you go out and all them something there and you're going to rave, when we went to rave, we went to black clubs.
So if there's any, like, say like there's 10 white girls there, that's like, everybody will look after it. I mean,
most of the clubs that we went to, you didn't if you saw, you'd have the odd white girl in there that moved with black girls.
Yeah.
That happened. You understand what I'm saying to you? That happened. But in terms of most of the clubs that we went and the ravings that you went, you didn't, there was no whole heap of European girls in there. You'd have one and two, and they would probably come with a black guy who's with them anyway. You understand? So our attraction really was always an African woman.
Right. But you see, at that time, African was not kind of defined. It was like Caribbean, you know what I mean? Or
No, we never.
Jamaican.
And in them days, we didn't call ourselves Caribbeans, really. If you the truth be known, in the 60s to the 70s, you call West Indians.
Yeah, West Indian. Yeah,
that's what you call. So we follow the West Indies cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket. You know, if we supported a team, we never support England. We support Brazil because it had Pele. You know, anything that was black, that was good, is what we hold on to.
So this idea of this inner strength of being yourself, you know, trying to find out about your roots, and because you must have gone through obstacles within the system for you to kind of make up your mind and trying to activate your quest of speaking out.
Well, back those days as growing up, I mean, as a youth growing up from the 60s to the 70s, you wasn't really searching about your roots. You were just there, you know, you go school, you go college, you get a little job, you start work, you get familiar with women, you're around on gal, you have son, you play sports. You weren't really looking about African liberation at the time. However,
what was going on back then?
However, I'm talking from me as a youth.
Yeah.
However, I was influenced by my elders. So my oldest brother, who is now with the ancestors, and one of my oldest cousin, who's now with the ancestors. Them Monday, they strictly depend black power. So like my brother was in the Black Panther Party,
right?
The Black Power movement in his country in the early 70s.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so through him, right, through my oldest brother, a sense of Africation was going on. Through a couple of my cousins, they were that way inclined. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But it's not that we move into that. And then the music that we were listening to, people like Burning Spear, like Sugar Minor, and Gregory Isaac, and Dennis Brown, and the Wailers, and the Mighty Diamonds, Third World, Hazwad, you name it. I mean, the music at the time, which is what we gravitated to, was quite revolutionary. And taught us about ourselves, you know what I mean? I always remember when I was at school, there was a tune that came out called Prophecy. When that tune came out, listen man, I one of the greatest tune them ever come out as a youth. And that was talking about Marcus Garvey. This is, you know, Burning Spear was talking about Marcus Garvey. This is how we're exposed to these great leaders. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so big man like Big U and I and them man there. So the music kind of influenced the way that we thought. You understand what I say? And so I wouldn't say I was going out there looking for my consciousness. I came active in my consciousness when I was 28 years old. When
you was 28?
Yeah.
So at that time,
up until then, I was just having a good time.
Just having a good time.
Yeah.
And at that time, you didn't. Were you listening to like radio station at that time?
No. Up until that time, up until I was 28, the radio stations I used to listen to is music. But then again, the music...
Like Capital?
Nah, man. You had to listen to Capital on Radio 1 back when because there was no other radio station. And then you had Steve Bernard, who was on, I think it was Radio 1 at the time. And then after Steve Bernard came Tony Williams. Yeah? And then by the time after Tony Williams, that's when the community stations started to do their own thing, and then we started to get a good influx of our music. But the people them that used to really Africate us with the music was the sound systems. You know? So you had sound system like Shaka, Coxon, Tobbies, Safrana B, Diamonds, you know, D Eunice. You know, these were Mombasa. These were big sounds back in those days. And then you had Saxon that came as one of the youngest of all those sounds. And when Saxon came, the whole place blew up. You understand? Because the kind of music that was coming out of it, the kind of DJing that was coming, it was all politically orientated. You understand what I'm saying to you? You had a 1 and 2 slackness, but a lot of the MCs at the time, which you might know them, like Tipper Irie, Asher Senator, Smiley Culture, you know, there's a brother, you might have heard of Dr. Les Henry, but he was a DJ before, MC before, called Leslie Lyrics. I mean, that man, they was pushing out some serious lyrics back them days there. And they were very political. You understand what I'm saying to you? And so, you know, you had a guy called IP. I mean, there's a lot of great MCs at that time that was in my age group, that just like the youth them is doing drill and all them things there. Those are the guys we used to listen to, and they were talking about what we were going through at that time with sus and police brutality and school and one bag of something.
So when did you because at that time we didn't have the internet, you know, so there were libraries, you know, quite a lot of books there, bookstores as well, you can buy books. What was the first sort of like political book or cultural or racial book that you came across that sort of like opened your eyes to another venue?
All right, I'll tell you what happened to me once. When I was about probably 13, 14, there was a club called a Beng. Yeah, it's now called the Caribou Center on Gresham Road, Brixton. But it used to be called the Beng. And on a Wednesday night in a Beng, they used to have these, you know, them big television, like a video thing shine upon it, and it's just a big screen. They would have videos that they played, and it's the first time I saw a video of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was on a Wednesday night down at the Beng. And that kind of opened my eyes a little. The book, I think my brother Randall, he was reading Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. And he told me about the book, and I started to read some of it. But I never finished it at that time. And I must have been I was a youth them time there. As a youth, probably 16, them ages there. When he was telling me about that, but we would have a lot of conversations and things like that. And my cousin them we'd have conversations, and then my cousin them who was Rasta, and then something there, and then the influences of other people around the place. I remember when I got expelled from school. I got expelled at 15. I went to Brixton College, and it was the first time I ever did a lesson on black people. And there was I can't remember his name now, but it's a black man, and he was teaching a course, and he taught us about black people in different parts of the world. It's kind of like a multicultural course. I can't remember it, but I was 15 at the time. And then another influencer was my youth worker, a man called Astral Parkinson, now with the Ancestors. You know, he kind of gave us a sense of who we were as well.
I mean, would you say at that time, because, you know, the story of exclusion, suspension, it is not new, it's very common at that time. In your case, you've pointed out earlier on that, you know, you had a temper, you know, in terms of, you know, you just like to get on it, you know. Was it a case where, because of the social pressure, and you feel at that time like your voice was not heard, or maybe the system is against you, nobody could dare to give you any hope? Was it this sort of anger you feel within yourself that burst out within that incident that happened? What really happened?
I honestly cannot come and tell people that you know, I didn't think my voice was heard. I mean, loads of people tell that story. I'm not the one who's going to tell that story.
Right.
You know, I had a stable home, my mum and my dad. They were very strict. And my mum was a very strict woman, very a disciplinarian. You know, my dad was a bit softer and things like that. They provided for us. We had with a roof overhead. We never went real hungry. You know, I had a kind of fair life. You know what I mean? We weren't rich, but we weren't starving, so to speak. You know what I mean? I couldn't get the latest trainers because mum and daddy didn't earn them kind of money there. But they made sure that we had clothes when we could go to Sunday school and we can go to school and get a uniform and them things. My woman used to give me a little pocket money, and, so I never forgot road and beg nobody nothing. You know, them we there. And dinner they cook every night, except for Friday night, which was called Ben Johnson night. You know, so we never eat panafra. And the woman would probably bring chips in or something like that, something, but no food, no cook pan them there. You understand me? So I wouldn't say that it was because I wasn't being heard. You understand what I'm saying to you? I wouldn't say that because I think if I did, I think I'd be lying.
Right. Okay. So what was it? Is it?
It's just that I was a rebellious youth. And
so in school, one would say, "What are you rebelling against?" Because again, you come from a very good home.
Yeah. I'm rebelling against. Let me give you an example. One time I was in technical drawing. This is at secondary school. Must have been about 11, 12. And I'm using an hammer. And I put the hammer down, and this white boy, I think his name named Robert, can't remember his second name. He took my hammer. So I said, give me back the hammer, because I'm using the hammer. You can go and get a hammer. I said, no, give me back the hammer. So I just put it on him.
What do you mean, put it on him?
I just broke him up.
You see, when he said broke him up, because it's like he's got bones.
No, I just drape him up and we have a fight. I just give him 2 little clap and thing and just take the hammer. And he run go to the teacher and tell the teacher. Now, instead of the teacher come to ask me what happened, the teacher just attacked me. Right?
Was he a male or female?
Male.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cost me off and right. You're going. I said, but sir, it was him that come to bite the boy too. Yeah.
You bite?
Yeah, me bite him. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, me never ram for bite a boy.
What?
Yeah.
You eat up the white flesh?
Yeah. Me bite the boy. Bite the pork, man. One time I named the pork, me bite the boy. And them decide them want cane me. And me tell him say him not cane me.
Tyson style. Yeah. So it's not new.
And what they did when he went to the gym block and got the gym teacher, them 6 of them hold me down and cane me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I mash up that classroom. Yeah, man. Tell them I'm gonna murder them. Yeah, 6 of them hold me.
Wow.
And give me 3 of the best. For something that me wasn't wrong in.
But the biting though is another thing as well.
You understand? Well, I fight.
The Rasta don't eat pork.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a Rasta then. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I think something like that, what I mean, one has to be punished, no?
No, well, it's war. You see, you're in a country that wages war on all kinds of people, that's invaded our homeland, that's massacred millions of Africans. Yet they're going to tell you, so you mustn't deal with violence.
Is it, when you talk about the center in Gresham Road, the club, Abeng, and you watch the Muffin, is it Muffin? Marcus Garvey?
I saw a clip, it was about Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
I saw one of Marcus Garvey, one of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Definitely remember the Malcolm X one. And there was one I was about to tell you. Used to see all different kind of Black Power thing, Black Panther and all that.
Because there's certain things at that age, it has a great impression, especially when it lingers in your thought for a while. Is it something like that kind of instigated? Because if it was a black boy, I mean, would you have patience?
I'd fight with black boys as well. You see, I never fight him because he was white. I fight him because he take me things. And if it's a black man, take my things.
Have you ever had a fight in school with a black?
I fight, whole heap of fight with black man. Black man, white man. Yeah, I fight with everybody.
Was it an incident at that time that got you expelled or?
No, I was 11 at the time.
Oh,
No,
right, okay.
I never got expelled then. That wasn't the incident that got expelled. Incidentally, the incident that got me expelled is when I caught some teachers beating up my brother, my younger brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah, and I put it on them. Yeah, boss all managed with cheer on and sitting there.
What?
Yeah. Because when I caught them beating up my brother,
Uh-huh.
which was primarily by accident, because I wanted to go toilet and I asked the teacher for toilet. I asked for no, you have to have a note for go toilet. So give me the note. And me I walk go toilet. Me this something just tell me for go past the house room them. I could have gone another way, but something just inside of me just said go past the house room. And when I went past the house room now, fun enough, a girl who was friend with at school at the time, her younger brother and my brother was friend, and I saw him, and I saw the judo teacher have him up. So I said, sir, what you doing? And him telling me to F off. I said, fuck off back to where you, and go back to your class. And I said, Steve, what's going on? He said, they're in there beating up your brother. And when me looking at the room, me see the teacher, I have my brother up with him, I'm short. So, me look a younger brother, you know. Remember, say me have 15 them time. My brother 13.
Mm-hmm.
And when me ask, me say, sir, what are you doing? Because I was respectful, you know. I said, sir, what are you doing? The man tell me for F off. Me say, what? I just pawn the chair, boof in the head. And boof for me kick off. And one of my brethren was with me and we're going pan them. Yeah. Damage up a boy, all the judo teacher when him come. I just put it pan him too. I was only 15. Look how sharp me, you won't believe it. Yeah.
I mean, that's something to take a little bit of praise. However, it's not something to be, if you look back now, it's not something that you can say you're proud of.
Oh, I'm proud of that. What you talking about? I'm proud of it.
Really?
Yeah, man. What you mean?
But it was not, I mean, of course, he's your brother.
I'm proud of that, man.
He's your
Listen,
brother.
let me tell you something.
I mean,
now.
but
my brother,
the reaction, was it too exorbitant?
No, because them was using violence. It's violence am I using her. And I come in and I said to the teacher, sir, what you doing? And the man tell me for FUCKOFF. That him tell me. You see, from him tell me that. The gloves is off, my brother. And me look, brother, you mad, man? Boss her boy head.
So what happened to your brother? Did he, as a result?
Them never expel him. Them expel me. And then he got a transfer. He took a transfer after I got expelled.
Yeah, because again, that maybe that incident, even though yes, most people say, you know, you might be
a teacher would not
right.
get a teacher would not get a teacher today would not get away with that.
Well, at that time, yes,
most
of course,
teachers,
you know,
if children even fast, Elton, see, you can't touch them.
But I mean, if you look back,
that's why they bring the police in and the girl Q, cause them can't do it.
Yeah, but in terms of your brother, I mean, would you say that incident, because he got transferred, kind of hindered his educational?
No, man, my brother is a very successful builder. Very successful.
But again, that was the incident that got you to.
You're 15. What you know at 15? Who you know? You say, man. You say 2 big white man, well, 3 big white man accosting your brother. That's who you see. You don't see nothing else. You're 15. What you know about the political ramifications?
Call mom.
Yeah. Nah, man. You can't do no. You have to take immediate action at that moment in time. Oh, me knows, looking back, no. Oh, me know them never try hold him down for rape him and do all kind of something. I know them white man, they say them love batty.
No, I mean, no. You can't make that suggestion.
No, I can make that suggestion because I can make it based upon facts.
But that was not the fact.
Yeah, but we don't know.
No, but no.
I don't know what they was trying to do.
Of course, I mean, you must know. What did he do?
Him not do nothing.
No, I mean, what did they say? I mean, they must.
Them never send. Well, this is what I said. If Adi said to me, no, you're blah blah blah, I said, well, sir, you don't have to do that.
But afterwards, I mean, they must have.
No, there was no
afterwards.
afterwards. Them call the police.
No, they must have explained to the police and explained to your parents as well.
Well, when my mother come up, all hell broke loose.
Yeah, about what happened.
Yeah, all hell broke loose. All till this day, them can't explain why them have my brother in that room there. To this day, yeah.
Is that true?
I'm telling you, I'm not telling you.
What the police report don't know as well.
They don't know. May I tell you, my friend?
So then,
Racism them time that them not explain nothing to you. You know?
Yeah. So it kind of like justify, for what you're saying, justify your action.
Yeah.
Because your action came after.
Yeah. I never go for do nothing. And him something there. Me ask him, man, Mr. Sir, what you doing? Mr. Sir, what you doing?
Was he a bad cut? I mean, stitches and all that?
Him forgot he wasn't at concussion, not to go hospital.
I mean, looking back, I mean, that was that was not so great.
Looking back, that was one of the greatest moments in my life. To stand up for justice.
All right, let me put it this way. Let's wind forward. We have a prime minister who...
Yeah, Britain have a prime minister.
Yeah, we have a prime minister now who... we've been waiting for a report, even though there are claims that, he broke, the code.
You talk about Teflon Boris.
Right. So, now that the report has come out and is still, everybody knows that he lied to Parliament, and there's nothing that he hasn't, he's apologized, but he hasn't stepped down. Is there a similar kind of trait where you, of course, fighting for the rights of your brother, trying to defend, but at the same time, one could say that your reaction was very, very strong, to the point that, a teacher got concoction, and, that is something else. That was too much. And looking back, and you're saying that was one of the greatest
stop there a minute.
moment.
Stop there a minute. That's too much from your point of view. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. If you feel it was too much, that is fine. But I don't feel it was too much.
No, but I know. But what I'm saying is Boris has kept us for how many months waiting for a report. Saying that, we have to wait and see the report. And they end up to be, a lot more. But what it is, he has lied about, has come out. And he's taking credit because of Britain was the first country to come out of the lockdown and to have vaccination and all of that sort of stuff. That's what he's taking credit for. Is it a similar trait? That's what I was going to ask you.
A similar trait with me?
Yeah, like, taking credit for bad behavior.
No. Don't compare me with Boris. I'm a totally different person. You can't compare me, because my experience of Boris is too different. Boris comes from an affluent society. He comes from a very privileged society. He feels he has the right to do what he does. And I was that person who they thought the teacher them was the Boris, and me was the people. The teacher them was the Boris, because they felt they had the right to abuse my brother.
But at the same
and
time,
then when they were questioned about why they was doing it, they felt they had right. They never have to answer to me. You understand? So they have to answer to higher justice. You see me I deal with? So if you want to use a comparison for Boris, compare him to them, not to me. Because I am the people in that scenario.
At the same time, you also feel that you can do it. You feel like you can defend your brother.
At that moment,
in that sort of manner.
At that moment in time, I knew I had to defend my brother. It's not, I feel, you remember, I'm 15. These are big men. One of them was a judo teacher. You understand what I'm saying to you? This is what I'm trying to tell you. So this wasn't a situation that I would have just gone in and do that. And moreover, there was a bit of history behind it, because that man had abused my brother before him, kicked my brother already. And my uncle had to come down and talk to him hard. You understand me I say? So it wasn't a first contact scenario. You understand? And even under those circumstances, I felt that I restrained myself enough to even ask an appropriate question, which I did not get an appropriate answer. So I had to take appropriate action.
Do you feel like the system, in terms of the school, the educational system at that time, do you feel like you was not part of it? Or do you feel like you wasn't listened to at school? Or you just didn't like what was taught at that time?
All right. Throughout this interview, I think you've been going down this road, freestyle. Oh, you wasn't listened to. Did you feel blah blah blah? Now, let me explain something. I enjoyed school, and I enjoyed learning, and I was a very good student up until the 3rd year in secondary school. That's where all the problems started. I was in all the top classes from 1st year to 2nd year: maths, science, physics, biology, chemistry, history, geography, the whole 9 yards. It's when we reach the 3rd year. Yeah, our language.
Is that when you felt like, because now you're
no, because you had the opportunity to choose your classes, and when you choose, they put you where they want you. So they put you in classes where there was no learning going on. Nothing went going on. Man is just ramping up and down in class. So the maths teacher would come there. He would write down. I can tell you the maths teacher named Mr. Hunt.
Okay.
He would come in. He'd write something on the board, and then he was gone. Nobody don't see him. Now, when you have children, you leave them alone. What do you think they're going to do? They're not going to do that.
You explain it like that sort of thing that you experience when you're in Africa, not in England.
You understand? And him gone and do. And I never forget, because the deputy head of the school, I tell you, school, I used to go to a school called Kingsdale. It's a top school now. You can't even get into that school now. That school you came getting out of school now, because them have a black headmaster now and all them something there. Yeah? And I remember when the deputy head was a man them called Mr. James. Yeah, come from Australia. Never liked black people. Always picking on way. Always. And I remember he was a maths teacher. You see, whenever you pass Mr. James' class, everybody quiet, you know. In them book. And after about a month, 2 months in my man's class, you know. Listen, man, I went down to Mr. James. I said, listen, look, can I come in your maths class? He goes, you want to come into my class? That's what I'm used to talking. You want to come into my class? I don't think you want to do that. Why would you want to do that? I said, I'm not learning nothing in that class, sir. And if I come in your class, you're disciplined. Everybody listens. And I never like him. Me and him never had a good relationship at all.
Was you, I mean, like,
Yeah?
were you the most feared man in the school?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I feared by who?
The teachers?
People. No, because I wasn't like that with teachers. Most of my teachers, me and them got on. It was just that particular incident. You understand what I'm saying? And that particular teacher who took a liberty. You understand what I'm saying? But in general, amongst, when my parents would come up to parents even, they would always say he's a good student. It's just when he gets out in the corridor.
So for me, I mean, what I was trying to do there as a brother, Kwaku, is to build up from where we are now, because you're an activist. You know, this is said, you know, about you. So it's to get a sense about when that activism kicked off. When was your first radio experience?
My first radio experience.
Yeah. Because you was a DJ back then, isn't it?
I never.
You had a talk show with.
Yeah, Power Jam.
Yes.
That was.
And it was two of you.
Yeah.
Back then.
No, it was 3 of us.
Right.
There was myself, Kuumba, and Nee Kojo.
Yes.
We started the show, the Nubian Forum People's Talk.
Did you know I got some recording of you?
I'd love to have some of them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play some now, but
yeah, that would have been nice to have some. Yeah. It was us 3 that started it, and then after us 3, then Kumba fell out, and then Garadina came, and it was me, Garadina, and Nee Kojo.
What was you guys, I mean, talking about at that time?
What
was the show about?
You see what it was really? It wasn't. We were called because the activism that we were engaged in the community at the time.
What were you doing before this?
We were part of an organization called APAS, the Association for Pan-African Studies and Initiatives, which out of that came our Saturday school, Nubia African Community Foundation School, which is still running till this day, 30 years later. You understand? And so we were active in the Pan-Africanist movement, the Pan-Africanist community, putting on events and bringing over speakers. I'm just trying to Africate the community in terms of who they are, what we need to do as a community to gel together, to advance ourselves in the society that we live. You understand? So it was all of that type of stuff going on. And incidentally, that that started when I was 28 years old. That's when my actual activism started. I wasn't active up until then.
Who got you into it? I mean, activism.
Dr. Femi Biko.
Okay.
Dr. Femi Biko, he had a class. He started the first Black Studies course. He was the one that created it here in Britain. But you got others that do it now. But he was the one that created the Black Studies course, and he started it in what they call Platinus College now, but it used to be called Stockwell Manor, or Stockwell or Stockwell. And they changed from it was Stockwell Manor when I was growing up, yeah. And we went there, and we done his course, done it for 2 years, and then he recruited us.
Okay.
He recruited us into the organization called APAS, you know. And that's where it all started.
So it's from there you know the sort of door. Did you know anyone from Power Jam at that time, or
yeah? Because the men that owned Power Jam at the time, we grew up in Sunday school together. It's you know, when I look at my journey, I'm gonna write a book about it eventually. But when I look at my journey, it's almost as if I was supposed to do it, because the brothers that was on Power Jam, who owned Power Jam at the time. Them man we used to go to Sunday school together.
Right.
So when them man decided they wanted to have a talk show, and primarily they wanted to have a talk show because Genesis Radio was the first radio station to do those talk shows, and they were quite feisty talk shows. And so I think Power Jam wanted to do a similar thing, and so they knew the work I was doing within the community, and them drafted me. And said to me, yeah, them called me up and said, them want to see me, I'm go link them and we'll chat. And say, yeah, we have a radio station and we want you come do a radio show. So I said, I don't know nothing about radio. I don't know nothing about that. But I used to play sound system before, because I had my little sound days as well. You understand?
What was it called?
It was called Magic, MAJIC.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, I had that thing going on, playing out and all the rest of it, and then they asked me they would like me to do a talk show. So I said, I don't know. I never knew nothing about radio them time there. I've never have a Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? But they showed me how to do certain things, and then I brought Kuumba and Nee Kodjo with me, because at the time the reason why the show, was called the Nubian Forum People's Talk Show, because we used to run a history class called Nubian Forum, and we used to run it in a place called New Initiatives.
Right.
You understand? We would have a circle and we would Africate the community about history. You know, because we was heavy into history at the time, and because we did feminist class, you know, it opened up our pineal gland, you know, and our minds and things, and we started to research. Yeah, and we were just on it. I mean, we were doing that. We were doing the Saturday school. We were teaching lessons in a mother and baby's home. We were running a project in Pentonville prison. You know what I mean? And then I ran a project in Brixton prison, and they run me out of Brixton prison. I mean, we were doing.
Why?
Yeah, because I was Africating the prisoners.
Right.
It's really weird. Yeah.
Right.
You know, so we were doing a lot of, and then we were doing other activism.
So how was the first experience? I mean, for the radio. I mean, was it three of you that studied together?
Yeah.
And how was that? Because that became a lot more controversial as time goes by.
I mean, when we first came on, we didn't even know what we was going to do. And that's the honest to nature truth.
How did you get your information? I mean, what are you going to talk about?
It was in our head.
Were you guys kind of like coming together before the show and say, okay, this is what we're going to talk about? Or you just turn up and goes, okay, that's it?
Sometimes we would just turn up.
Yeah.
I think we, you know, Kuumba, Nee Kodjo and myself, we had a spiritual connection. It's almost like we could bounce off each other. You understand what I'm saying? And we was a serious trio, you know, and plus we were teaching in the school at the same time. So, and plus we were teaching at the mothers and babies, and plus we was doing a whole load of stuff together. So we was in each other's lives. Yeah, and we were young men at the time. You know, I mean, I was in my 30s, but they were younger than me. Like, I gave Kuumba 5 years, and I gave Nee Kodjo about 7. So they were even younger than me. I met Nee Kodjo when he was 21. I was 28. He was 21. He was studying. He was at the University for Oriental Studies.
Right.
Doing his degree.
Yeah.
And Kuumba and I, we used to work for British Telecom.
Okay. You know, at that time also, you know, you have, like you mentioned, Genesis was
Genesis
mostly
they were
talk.
firing, man.
Yeah.
They were firing.
And I think you had an experience there as well, because I was there for a very short while. Well, when I say short while, I was doing more like African music, bringing artists and interviews and stuff. As time goes by, you know, the competition between Genesis, because we're talking about the 90s here, isn't it?
Yeah, the 90s, yeah.
The competition between Genesis and Power Jam, you know, it made within the community a well-known station. Would you say that competition became more toxic, where instead of like putting heads together as a community, it became an individual battle to prove who's got the most information and who knows what and who?
Looking back, I'm always a defender. So if I feel that I'm being attacked, I would defend myself. I'm not one to go and make the trouble. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I don't think that what you have to remember is that within our community we have agitators, and so they will hear something said over there, and somebody might call your name, but instead of they listen to what the person's saying, they say, you know, my man called your name, you know. I'm like, well, what did they say? Yeah, man, and hype up the thing. You understand what I'm saying to you? And then, you know, there was that little thing with Power Jam and Genesis itself, which wasn't our as presenters argument. That was the people that ran the station argument. You understand? Because they were friends anyway, so they grew up together anyway. Do you understand what I'm saying? But these things happen, innit? And it's how you deal with them at the time. And so, you know, it did get a bit toxic with me and Dr. X, because I know that's where you're going with it. So
it was quite a lot more, actually.
I remember somebody calling me and said, have you heard this guy on the radio? He's cussing, he's swearing and blah, blah. And they should bring me reports and saying, you know, about this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I decided to listen to him one evening, me and my missus, and we sat in the car and we listened to him. And beyond the swearing, I thought, this brother's got something that he's saying. But I never realized that I didn't know him.
So you knew each other?
Yeah.
Right.
We knew each other before either of us was on radio, because we actually met at this place called New Initiatives.
Yes.
That's where we actually met. We met at New Initiatives, but I never knew it was him that was on radio at the time.
Right.
It wasn't till we met at one time and we realized, oh, it's you. You see what I'm saying? You know? And, you know, Dr. X and I, we speak about that. We laugh about it now as men, you know? But we were in our prime at the time. We were in our 30s, a lot of ego. You know, we all have ego. And there's nothing wrong with ego. You just have to know how to control it. And sometimes that
do you think also at that time the community was fueling things up rather than trying to calm things
I wouldn't
down?
say it was the community that was fueling that things. I would say it was particular members in the community. I wouldn't say it, because the community loved Dr. X and they loved me. They loved us both. And in what year was it? You know, after all of that shenanigans, I remember me and Dr. X put on an event called War of Words.
That's right, in Stockholm somewhere, isn't it?
No, in Brixton, in that same centre, the Caribou Centre, the Beng Centre.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and we couldn't sell enough tickets. We had to stop selling tickets. That's how the community came out. And one of the things that came
I remember that. I mean, that was in a very good spirit, but it was not in the spirit. It was a spirit of argument to see who is the boss, rather than to say these are two great minds we have in the community. let's come and enjoy it. Was
no,
it?
no. That event wasn't about the spirit of who was the boss. It was about a difference of opinion. Yeah. I was saying we need to call our people African, and Brother X was saying, well, we can use black, and so it was black or African. Which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a, yeah, and we had
Who won that?
Well, people said Dr. X won it. People said that I won it.
So basically, there are people who still don't refer to themselves as an African.
Yeah.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
What has been your experience, though? Because, again, as you know, like the Jamaicans would say, little white boy, is he? English boy, sorry.
No, they would never, no.
No,
they never called
English
you
boy.
white boy.
No,
never.
yeah, sorry, that's me.
Yeah.
English.
Them say, yo English.
Yeah. When.
Them say, yo, what me English?
Yeah. So when you are there,
just like when you go to Ghana,
yeah,
them call you they call you Bruni.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they will even call Ghanaians who have Ghanaian parents,
yes,
but they're born here. They'll
right.
call them Bruni too.
Yeah, true. So when
it's a similar thing.
Yeah. So in terms of all what you've done to enlightening, people in the community, to bring them to awareness of the African history and to know much about the choices that they make as an African. In this time that we are now, when you see quite a majority of people that you've been speaking to are still refusing to refer to themselves as an African, how does that make you feel?
You know what? I don't see people that I was talking to don't refer to themselves as African. And in fact, I think that most of our people accept that they're African these days. But there's that move to talk about black British and the British this and I get all of that. But, people who are intelligent will know that your ethnicity doesn't determine your citizenship. You can be a citizen anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can naturalize in any country on the planet and you can become that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
But you can't change your phenotype. So you can say I'm not African, but you look in your face, you can see it all day long. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really, I don't have those kind of debates anymore. I don't need to have that debate. If you want to call yourself something different, that's totally down to you. But don't tell me that I must call myself that. That is where the debate takes place, when you want to impose that on me.
Yeah, them days was, in terms of radio, community radio, would you
days
say
were
it was the best?
Yeah, man, them days were firing, man.
Because people were listening.
We could galvanize our people more in those days than we can now. Our people are comfortable now.
We say comfortable, or there are more choices now?
No, they're comfortable now.
Comfortable or more choices?
Yeah, they're comfortable.
Is that the choices that made us? People very comfortable these days.
Yeah, people are comfortable. People are comfortable. Back those days, there were things going on. There was a lot of, racism was still, you was in a time of, when they killed Stephen Lawrence, it was still rich in there when they shot my cousin Cherry Gross and Sean Riggs and, all of those different people were, that information was rich in the ear of the African psyche. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, and the police were overtly brutal. Still brutal up in them time there. All in the 90s are going with them things. So you still add that. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it weren't comfortable then. You got along, but it wasn't comfortable. They're comfortable now. So they feel nothing's wrong. They feel they don't have to join this. They feel they don't have to do that. But if they were really to take a moment and sit down just in a park and just look around, they say, what do we have as African people in this country? Like, what do we have? Not what do Freestyle have, or Kwaku have, or the sister over there have, but what do we have that we can say, that's ours?
Mm-hmm. That's the voice there of our brother, Prophet Kwaku. Now we're going to take a track from Feferityinspire, and we'll come back. It seems to see if our brother Chris Barrett and also our brother Oshun. Yeah, Oshun Yemi too. Thank you very much for subscribing. He says, hi to you. Chris Barrett, who's saying that Europeans' education structures system is differently from today's Shalawam. Yeah. From today's generation, period, compared to the 70s, 80s. Yeah, that is so true, isn't it? It says, but still the same package. So he's saying that nothing has changed.
Things have changed slightly. I mean, in terms of if children really want to get themselves some knowledge, they have more opportunity to get it now than we did then. They've got more access to stuff. And if they conduct themselves a certain way, they can acquire certain things. Whereas back in our days, we were prevented from that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take Bonnie Spear, African teacher. And when we come back, like I said, you've had, thank you for coming and talking about, yourself and your history. I appreciate that. But you've had a lot of transformation as well, because now you're an African, man who into African spirituality. But back in the days, a lot of people have gone through Islam, Rasta, in order to find themselves. So we're going to talk about your transformation to where you are now. If I make a
Teach me, teacher. Teach high and I am a teacher. Teach me, teacher.
Good evening to each and everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to Feferity Radio. My name is Freestyle, and my special guest, Brother Prophet Kwaku.
African teacher. Oh, right. Naughty like to be bright, so bright, so bright, so bright. Bright, oh, bright. Bright, naughty, bright, naughty, bright, naughty, bright. So bright.
Shout out to our sister Ethel. Ethea. It says, speak Creole to Prophet Kwaku and ask Prophet to respond in Jamaican patois. He's been.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So we say, howdy, body.
We're good, you know.
Eh?
We're good, you know.
Yeah. So what do you do today? So you come out.
Oh, I can't. Say that again. Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
What do you do today?
No. What is, I want you to say in your Creole.
Yeah, what do you do today? And
I'm here with you.
Who say you come out?
I'm here with you.
You know, like, what have you done today? Like, what do you do today?
Yeah. I know what you said. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Well, what I should have said, midday with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, midday with you.
So you see, you can do it. Well, we've got another track, isn't it? Because we want to cover, like I said, you know, your transformation into where you are now. Because being born in England as a black man, it's not easy, because the history, as we all know, you have to really go and find out, you know, and everything else you have to really find out. Nobody actually have to tell you and put it for you.
Nobody ain't going to tell you. You have to find that out.
So when it comes to spirituality, you know, there is a lot of, you know, black men who they've been Rasta, you know, Nation of Islam, just going around looking. Tell us about your journey to where you are now.
I was never a Rasta. Although I respect Rasta.
You was never Rasta?
No, I was never Rasta. But I respect Rasta. Because
did they have an influence at all?
Yes, definitely. A Rastafari on my generation, Rastafari in this country had a big impact on us, in a positive way. You know, they in terms of you hear them talking about organic food. Rastaman call it natural. Them used to say to we have to eat natural food. You know, eat them rubbish. You know, eat some ital. You understand? Rastaman taught us about Garvey, about being proud to be African, taught us about His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, made us look to Ethiopia. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, and then Rastas as well, they fought against the system. The real Rasta, not them fake Rasta we see here today. Yeah? But the Rasta man in the early days and the Rasta woman in those days, they promoted Africa. They were the ones that made being African and the Pan-Africanist popular, Rasta, in the 70s. Remember me tell you.
But you was never drawn into the ideology and never been part of the organization?
No, I was never part of a Rastafari organization.
So what was your first experience apart from being a Christian? Which other journey did you...
It you know, it was when I studied under Dr. Femi Biko, as I said. When I suppose within me, I think the spiritual part of me was always searching. You know, when I was a young boy growing up, my pastor, who's now with the Ancestors, Pastor Fagan, he told my mom when I was a very young age that I was going to be a preacher.
Right.
He assumed that I'd be a preacher in the church. You understand?
Right.
But I'm a preacher for the people. I'm for African liberation. You know, psychologically, spiritually, economically, and culturally. You understand me? And so he probably saw something that I never saw at that time. You understand me? But it wasn't until I did Dr. Femi Biko's class and then I got exposed to this whole new world of people like the great Dr. Ben, who's with the Ancestor, Dr. John Henrik Clark, and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ishaka Musa Barashango, Del Jones, Jacob Carruthers, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Sheikh Anta Diop, Charles Finch, John G. Jackson. I mean, the list is awesome. And when I got exposed to that information, everything changed. The change started. That's where the change started.
Right.
You understand me? That is where the change really started, when I was exposed to the information. And the only way that I can express what it means is a ancient Kemetic word. They say kepra, and kepra means to be born again, to to transform into something else. The Christians say born again. That's where they got that concept of born again from. It was like that. It's like my eyes were just open, and there was no turning back. And I didn't go straight into spirituality then. You understand what I'm saying to you? But I found something that resonated with me. And I suppose is when I probably saw my first libation. I think it was a priest called Priest Adelakon, who's now with the ancestors. Who wanted to initiate me at the time as well, but I wasn't ready. And I saw him do libation, and something moved in me. And I thought, yeah, I like this. Yeah, this is something where we can...
Where is he from?
He was from Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I think that spiritual aspect, that's when the spiritual aspect of it started. But I wasn't fully innate that we are there.
Right.
Them time there. I was more into the knowledge of the history. I was eating up the history. The history was, because I was learning things I never knew. You understand me?
Were you part of the Nation of Islam in your journey?
Never. But I used to go to their meetings. I would go to their meetings, but I never joined. Because some of my friends, they were leading it. Some of the people them that we used to run up and down in Brixton together, everybody has had their spiritual journey. Do you understand me? Some went into the nation, some went Rasta, some went Orthodox Muslim, and some just stayed on the same things that they were doing, and some of us went into Pan-Africanism.
At that time, because these are fascinating journeys for everybody, everybody's not gonna actually sing from the same hymn sheet, as the saying goes. However, each one will find a different path to get to the same destination. Was it seen as a way of each one really finding their own way, or was it more competitive in a way that this is the right one? Because the sort of words of words between you and Dr. X at that time, it was big. Like I said, that was a really good thing. But when you have different section of the community who believes in Christianity, Muslims, and spirituality and all sorts, is that a tool for a divide, or that's something that we should look as a beauty of a difference and work together?
The only way I can really answer that question is to say what our most beloved liberationist, Omowale El Shabazz Malcolm X said. He said, when we come together as Africans, put your religion aside, keep it between you and the God you serve. Because if we start talking about religion, we're going to start disagreeing on the off-start. So, the police don't arrest you because you're Muslim, or because you're Christian, or because you're Rasta. You arrest you because you're an African. They can see you, and that's how they arrest you. They don't dig up at the airport and embarrass you at the airport because, they know that you're a criminal. They just assume just on your phenotype. You understand what I'm saying to you? You're not excluded from certain opportunities in the society because you weren't good enough for it. You're excluded purely because of how you look. You understand? And so it's on that premises I will answer that question.
Because I've had you in few meetings, I think you've said it before, that it's not about the religion that you get, in some areas, yes, you will get persecuted for it, but, it's about the color of your skin. Does that really frustrate you when people cannot see past our religion or religious belief?
Yes, it's true, because look, If a man was to ask me what is your religion, yeah, I would say truth. Now, if a Christian and a Muslim brother come and sit down to me and they want to impose their Christianity and Islam on me, that is when we will have a debate. And I will give them the history of how it came to them. Now, there's millions of our people that become Christians every day. There's millions of our people that convert to Islam every day. But when those religions came to Africans, they didn't come peacefully. And that's just the facts. There's no if, there's no buts about it. The evidence is there to prove it. The fact that we embrace it now is because it was imposed on our ancestors first. And it wasn't imposed over a 5-10 year period. It was hundreds of years. After doing certain things of hundreds of years, people adopt. It's Stockholm syndrome. You fall in love with your abuser. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when a lot of my friends were converting to Islam, and at the time, those days, it was Minister Farrakhan, who was a person, calling the white man the devil. And, as young black men, we like that. You know what I mean? Because we knew that, because we were experiencing it. And here was an African man in the United States of America calling them that live, broadcasting it without fear. And a lot of people were drawn to that. A lot of our friends, I've had friends who were on cocaine, crack, and they went to America and heard Minister Farrakhan, and that was it. They dropped crack the next day, clean up themselves. So it helped them. Maybe that message he had was good for them because it worked. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And I'm never going to negate that. But that wasn't what woke me up. I didn't need that message. My message was a different message. My message came from a man called Dr. Femi Biko and Dr. Ben. Ishaka Musa Barashangos. Those are the people that really ignite me and liberated my mind. You understand what I'm saying? And every day I'm learning. Every day I'm trying to improve myself. I haven't reached there yet.
Also, you've stayed true to your... Listening to you throughout the beginning of the conversation, you've stayed true to yourself and the way that you are. I think that's very applaudable. Not the one that you pounce off the headmaster and concoct him and now you're proud of it. No, let's leave that aside.
No, I will tell you, I'm proud of that.
No, I say let's leave that aside. That's not
I'm
what.
Proud of
that's
that.
not what I'm saying. That should be commendable. That's not part of it. When you have a lot of, like diasporian, like I said, I admire, a lot of diasporian who have become more conscious of the African part of them, the Africanness, African knowledge, very proud. At the same time, if some of our parents that have come here very, very long ago, and with the title of like bishop, reverend, pastors, spiritual leaders or whatever it is, or chiefs, like some of us are from where we're coming from. We're coming from Africa. How would that be received? I'm not sure. But it also sometimes is a great pleasure when you see a lot of diasporian black going home and taking up African names, even that consciousness to the point of taking titles. Now, in terms of...
One second. I think I have to correct you somewhere. And you being of African descent, nobody can go and take a title. Title has to be given to you. They accept the title.
Right. Okay.
Nobody can go and take a title.
Yeah. Because these are things that are coming, like being a chief and all of that is a line, is a lineage. It's not something that someone outside. But these are all like part of a recognition of a member, of a friend.
You become an Olie or a Nana.
So for you, a lot of people were surprised when you gave yourself, would I say that? The title prophet.
No, I didn't give myself that. And this is
Okay,
something.
tell us about,
Yeah.
because
I used
again, that's what you will hear. But what the question I was going to say, tell us about how that came about.
I used to be on Power Jam, as you know, and over the years, you see things, and I saw a change happening, especially in Brixton, and I knew we was going to lose Brixton. I could see it. I saw it 20 years before it happened, and I kept telling people about things that would happen. I kept telling people that you see them same youth there that you're having in your spoiling now, those youth are going to be the youth them end up start killing each other, etc. There was things that I was saying that was actually coming to pass, and a brother rang up the station one day, and I can't remember what it was he was talking about. He said, "Boy, you said this, my brother. I'm gonna use a prophet. I'm gonna call you prophet from now on," and that's where it emerged from.
Oh, right, okay. So it was someone feel the need because they've been listening to you on a consistent basis.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that's the difference. For once in a while, somebody woke up and goes, "I'm Prophet Kwaku." Guys, somebody said who's been listening to you consistently, and for somebody who's the first time, it's like, huh?
And then people say, "Well, I'm prophet," and that's a
So when he called you that, I mean, was it other people start calling you, or you said, "Well, I mean that"?
No, other people started to call me, and then I just embraced it. It was given to me. Remember what I said? Titles are not something that you take. Titles are something that's given to you. You understand? And the community gave me that, and I accepted it.
Well, there you go. That's how the prophet title came to be. That was in Power Gym. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. About 30 years ago now, nearly. About 28 years ago, something like that. Yeah, a long time ago. And I had some great days at Power Jam. And we did some great things, in Power Jam. And we did great things. And back then it was, you had a lot of different, you had Minister Rebel, who used to be on Genesis. You had OG Briggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a brother by the name of Breeze.
Breeze, yes.
And then obviously you had brother Dr. X, so, there was a lot of people back then who was peppering out the information. And then you had Baseline FM as well. You had a Marky Mark used to have a talk show as well.
Yeah, Conscious as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you had Conscious Radio,
Yeah.
Supreme.
Yeah.
I mean, the information was being peppered them time there. Them the time the boy information are flying, and you'd have regular African Liberation Day every year. You're talking about 400-500 people turn out there. Kwanzaa's four. If you didn't reach a Kwanzaa early them day, get in.
Well,
I mean, it was vibrant back them day there.
I don't know. Let's see if we got a caller here. See what is what I was going to say. Let's see. Good day to you, caller. You want to make a contribution? Okay. Okay, hold on a minute. We're going to bring you in. Thank you. So introduce yourself and who you want to ask our brother.
Greetings, freestylist Lorna, and greetings, Kwaku, Prophet Kwaku. Yes. What I wanted to ask you is, do you think Rasta still has the influence that you found in regards to the community and the younger generation? And do you think they have the same values in unity regarding the different sections of Rasta now as back then? Because why I ask that question as well is because, I've been on the various marches and stuff, and I've seen a lot of, a little bit of in-house fighting. And then also, I'm saying that as well because, we had quite a good big building in Kennington, which was the Rasta House. And when I used to come from West London, North London, to come to the Rasta House, I used to see them chanting, teaching children, and so forth. and there were studios upstairs. We'd be recording music up there. It was a progressive place, and I can't understand how it went downhill and got taken away from us, basically. So that's why I'm saying, in regards to Rasta, and the influence it had on you then, do you think it has the same? And also, what I wanted to ask you was, how would you advise someone who's like working with the youth and in the community to inject the knowledge and the history in order to enrich and progress the future of our community, and to also, how can I say, the words
There's
of
a
God.
lot of questions here, my sister.
Yeah.
Let me try and deal with
The influence.
the last one first. How do you get people who are engaging with young African people now to teach them about their history and etc. Invite us to their classes. Invite us. Give us the opportunity to engage with them. It's not just me. We got people like Robin Walker. We got people like Andrew Muhammad. And there's a whole host of us who are here that you can utilize us. Get the meetings together. I mean, in the 90s, I used to go to people houses. I used to sit down with families and I would Africate them on African history. We don't have to be in a school or a building and thing, and also send them to our Saturday schools. I have a Saturday school that I've been a part of since 30 years ago. And we're in our 30th year, and you could send them to Nubia African Community Foundation School. We're in South London, Southwest 8. We're on Union Road, 110 Union Road, Springfield Centre. Bring them there. Bring your children to us. Or if you're over in East London, you can go to Al Cable School of Excellence. And here in South London, again, we got Africa Bantu Saturday School. West London, we have West Side Academy. And then North London, we have Manud Academy. So, we do have our institutions out there Africating our people and trying to make our young people better people in the society that they live, but still holding on to their culture. So in that respect, my sister, they need to utilize us. We are here. That's what we do. It's what we do, is what we have been sent here. That's our purpose. And our ancestors have sent us here to do the job. So I hope that answers that last question.
Okay.
And then in terms of Rasta, do I think that Rastafari is as influenced, excuse me, I belch, as I say, influenced now as it was in the 70s, 80s, and probably in the early 90s? No, I don't. I don't, because I think that people take liberty with Rasta. Them now deal with Rasta in the way that the real Rasta man them was dealing with it, back in the day. That doesn't say that you haven't got genuine Rasta man and Rasta woman now. The reason why the Rastas, I'll go back to that in a minute, but in terms of their influence, I wouldn't say it is as influenced as it was now, but that influence that they had in the 70s, 80s and 90s is worldwide now. You have China man who call himself Rasta. Yeah? You have European man who call himself Rasta. You have Indian man who call himself Japanese who call himself Rasta.
But I think it's one love, isn't it?
But Rasta is the only new religion. Remember, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Rasta, they're all new religions. But of all those new religions, Rasta is the only one that transformed people through love and not violence.
Yeah.
They never invade Holland. Them never invade Spain. Them never invade China.
So it's a good thing that you have all these people that you've mentioned, like the Chinese and, becoming a Rasta. It's a good thing.
No, I never said it was a good thing. What I said it is, you got a lot of these people that's converted to Rasta. Because what I see with Rasta now, like, for example, the biggest reggae festival in Europe is kept in Spain. 2 Rastas do it. Who are they? White.
Yeah.
Controlling reggae music. So that's not a good thing. You understand me? I said that is not a good thing, because what has happened is, whenever these other groups become part of us, they dominate, take over and control.
Why is it though? Because that is the latter part. But if the Rasta is the only religion that have come, I mean, people have come through love, like you said, then these people feel the need because maybe they're running out of something that they're not. Even though they look like it, but they're not part of it. If you see what I'm saying, the ideology, they're not part of the ideology. So, and they become more comfortable being a Rasta. Is it not so?
I can't speak for them, and that's the truth. I can't speak for them.
I think some of them is just what I call follow fashion monkeys, you know, and some of them are just hippies. It's just like a new hippie.
Yeah, that is my sister.
You know,
that is true. That is true in some sense.
Yeah,
but I think we have to be.
What they do.
I think we have to be true about certain things. Some of these people really believe in Rasta. Some of them worship His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie the First, and some of them are genuine. You know, as painful as for me to say, but that is the truth. You can't refute that. What I'm saying is that the African that created that philosophy of Rastafarianism. It was created from the philosophy of His Imperial Majesty Rastafari. You understand what I'm saying to you? And it was created by the Africans in Jamaica. You understand? Just like reggae music was created by the Africans in Jamaica, but the Africans in Jamaica don't control reggae music no more. That's just the facts. You understand? And so, you know, reggae music was a big multi-million-pound industry back in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s. And a lot of African people ate out of it. It's not like that no more. You understand what I'm saying? Because they might look Grammy. They might look Grammy Award and all and sitting there. And instead of creating their own awards. You understand what I'm saying? So
most of our music, what I'd say is our music that comes from, well, most of music comes from us, but what was recognized to be definitely black music, we was always kept underground. It was, our music was always underground music. That's what they
I used to say that before, sis, but I don't engage in that. What it was Pantapa ground. But what it is, they weren't interested in it until they saw that it had a monetary value to it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because we never got no underground for the nothing. We did them tapa ground. All the clubs them we used to go to. And the clubs them that was created, they shut them all down. Even in Brixton here. Hold on, sis. Hold on. 1 second, sis. Even in Brixton, right in a Brixton where we there, all the clubs and places we them shut them all down. But what have they done? They've opened up all these white people bars and coffee bars and all these places, and them still open till all hours of night and music are play. Nobody complain. But when we had it and we were doing it because they saw monetary, listen, African people come to this country and make them know how to rave and turn raving into a monetary thing. And they stole it like they steal everything else.
Yeah.
Stolen legacy.
Yeah. You know.
But in terms of the influence of Rasta, I still think that Rasta does have an influence. Yeah. But I think that some of the Rasta them and certain and you got different. Right. 1 second, sis, please. I think that different houses of the Rasta have different philosophical outlooks, and that's what it is. Go on, sis.
I think when it comes to Rasta worldwide right now, especially right now, I think they can really, how can I say, bring themselves back and bring the communities back and things like that, because of the fact that everybody is on this health tip right now. And
Rasta's the first to come with it.
To a T. They've got it down to a T.
Yeah, Rasta's, you know, the Rasta man, you know, him learn from him grandmother and them thing who wasn't Rasta. And them grandfather teach them about the herbs and them thing and them take on them something there. And when them turn Rasta now, them go high tal. So Rasta, the Rasta community is the best community as far as me concerned to come and teach anybody about health in terms of, you know, make your food, your medicine, a Rasta. You understand me I say? But some of us won't roll with some of the Rasta them because some of them in the mix up. You understand? And we know in that. You know, see it. you know, so But that's some of
Well,
us. You understand me?
Yeah.
But when it comes
Well,
to health and them
I'm
thing
gonna-
there, sorry sis, go
Yeah.
on.
No, I was gonna say I'll go and leave you to freestyle because I'm taking up all the time already.
Yeah.
So have a good evening and give thanks and continue the good works. And
thank you very much for your
and
your
freestyle,
contribution.
continue the good works also.
Thank you
And
very much.
just to say, freestyle, the Ritzy event was fantastic.
Oh wow, yes, the Saturday.
And all
Thank
the
you.
listeners, the next event is going to be fantastic as well. So I hope to see you there at the Ritzy.
Oh, thank you for plugging that one in. I would have forgotten about it. Thank you very much, Lorna, and
Okay.
continue to listen and support us here. on
Thank you,
Fefferity.
sis.
All right, take care.
Yeah, that's Sister Lorna there. Good question, isn't it?
It's a brilliant question because I don't think that I'm in a position to comment on Rasta in particular. I think Rastas are more, because you have the different houses of Rasta. If you have Naibingi, you have Bobo, you have 12 tribes, you have half of that Rasta, you have Boba Shanti. I'm not in a position really to comment on our Rasta. I can comment from the position of how I saw Rasta as a youth growing up, but it's not for me to come here and said Rasta fi do this and Rasta fi do that. That's not my position.
Yeah. Well, I want to send a shout out to also to 495. Says greetings, brothers. I'm loving the reasoning. Thank you very much.
Give thanks.
Yeah, I think we need to get a new phone. Yeah, so keep your calls, text message coming on as well. Coming up. Keep them coming, and also you can leave your comment in the comment box. Yeah, let me see. I can see.
Let me say something. When I was young growing up, enough people was turning Rasta. When I was a youth growing up, I in fact I wanted to lock up my hair when I was a youth, but I couldn't do it in my dad's house. Want that in you. You go cut your, because they were anti-Rasta.
I want to talk about before we go,
Locks
because
and things
something
like
else changed. Your whole, not change it, but enhance the objection that you have. With the system. When your brother Jerry Gross.
No, my cousin.
Your cousin.
Yeah, Cherry Gross.
Yeah, Cherry.
28th of September 1985.
Tell us about that, because that really changed the way that you view the system of the country in which you were born.
No, it never changed the way. It just reinforced how we felt about it.
Yeah.
Because prior to the uprising that took place after the shooting of Cherry in 1985, there was an uprising in 1981, and I was 18 years old then. You understand what I'm saying? And at that time, just before the uprising, I was attacked in Crystal Palace by about 20 white boys. I got the mark in my face right here now for it. You know what I mean? Skinheads. You see what I'm saying? So what happened in 1985 reinforced what was happening to us on the streets of Brixton at the time. We were constantly stopped by the police. Sometimes the police would beat us up, bring us in their van and just beat us up and just fling us out on the road. There was constant battles with them. It was a war zone as a youth. And so when it rose up in 81, it was our opportunity to get back at them. You understand? The first shop that got looted was a white boy lick it. It was Woolworth. It was a white boy that went and did that. There was a answer I wanted to give the sister in terms of Rasta. How did they lose Rasta House? What people have to remember, any progressive African movement that is started, the authorities send in low-level intelligence. What do I mean by that? They send in their spies, people that look like us, to destabilize that organization. If you look at the COINTEL profile papers. They show you how they destabilize the Black Panther Party. We know how they destabilize the Universal Negro Improvement Association. We know how they try to infiltrate and destabilize the Nation of Islam. We know this. This is not something that we're making up. We know them do it. Because them records dead their feet. This is how they do it. We know even within the campaign that was being fought by my cousin Lee Lawrence for the justice for his mother, we know that they sent in spies into that campaign. This is a fact. It's not fiction. So we know this is something them do. So like any other organization, Rasta is not exempt. They've sent in spies into Rasta to destabilize Rasta. Remember me tell you that. That's a fact.
Well, some of the spies are Rasta as well.
No, they're not Rasta, but them look Rasta. They made locks up and everything like that. Spy, they can't send a white man in there and do it. It's obvious, isn't it? But them sending somebody will look like you with them locks up and everything like that. Them more Rastafari than everybody else. Them support this and support that only to destabilize it.
You know, we're going to have another conversation here, part 2, right?
Yes,
because,
sir.
you know, it's inevitable. But before you go, you was talking about the schools around, because this is another thing as well. The schools are there, but is the awareness and the support from the community there?
But the schools can't be there unless the community supports it. You know, the community do support the schools. I mean, we've been running for 30 years, and we've had a lot of children come through our doors. Many of them has been quite successful. Some never made it. It happens. But we're more successful than we have not been. And they support these schools. You understand? I don't think that the community supports them enough. It could be because them no hear them. I don't know about them. But I know that our people will spend thousands of pounds to send their children to European schools that are private. And sometimes the children left them dunce like a bat. You understand? Them not learn nothing there. And them definitely not going to learn nothing about who they are. You understand? And as Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, Our Excellency, the Prophet, he said, a race without its history is like a tree without its roots. You understand? You need to stand firm. You have to know who you are, where you're coming from, to understand where you're there, what you need to do, and where you need to go.
Absolutely.
You understand?
It's a journey.
And it's a journey. And the only way you're going to learn that journey is your people going to teach you. Because they're not going to teach you about your journey. They're going to come and give you some little passive stuff. You understand? They're not going to tell you that you invented elevator. They're not going to tell you that you invented the iron.
I mean, also
the lawnmower.
Yeah.
All these things that needed to make labor easy. It was the Africans that invented it because they had to, because they were the ones who's doing the labor. Them man, they nina do it. What they did, they stole the paint and make it look like it was them.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more conversation, because I think we've touched a little bit of it, and I'm really grateful that you able to come in today. What is your experience about Feferity, the few couple of hours you've been here also?
I've enjoyed it. It's allowed me to speak about things I don't normally speak about, because on my own show, if you don't mind me plugging it, I have my own radio talk show on GalaxyAfiwe.net, GalaxyAfiwe.net. And I have a weekly show that I do on a Thursday evening, 9 p.m. to midnight, and Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. to midday. But I don't get to talk about me. You understand? So I talk about the issues in our community and other stuff. You understand? So I don't get to talk about me. You understand? So it's always refreshing to talk about you, you know, and there's a lot more to me than I've spoken about this evening.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you haven't touched on you've been a cameraman, and also that skill that you possesses. And where can people look at your works, your photos?
We have a website. I'm part of a crew, you know, African Development Enterprise.
Okay.
And our website is www.sharpphotographics.com. Yeah, www.sharpphotographics.com, and they can see our works on there.
Okay, and all the prizes. I mean, you do all sorts of events.
Yeah, there's no event that we don't document. we call ourselves, photographic pictorians.
Right.
In that we document your history.
Okay.
That's
great.
Any kind of event that you want, you can email me on muduti@yahoo.co.uk.
You need to spell that.
M for mother, U for Uganda, D for Dogon, U for Uganda, T for Tanzania, Y for Ya Santua @yahoo.co.uk.
Okay. Muduti.
Yeah, Muduti.
Yeah,
It
Muduti.
means it's ancient committing. It's actually Meduti, but it means ancient. It's ancient committing for forceful speaker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And that's one of my names.
yeah. Well, I'm going to personally invite you to our next event of at the Red Sea because I haven't seen Sharp Enterprise up there yet. On the 30th of July, because we're going to have, Lorna was talking about it, a band from Jamaica, the lady from Jamaica, Come On Kerr, and the Red Rooters. So it's going to be a Jamaican blues. And also we've got 2 bands actually on the night and one from Spain.
And the thing about it, the 30th of July, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to even be in London.
Okay, well, the members.
What time does it start?
7 in the evening. We're there till 1.
I don't know if I'll be back in time.
Well,
don't
I
know if I'll be
mean,
back
send the
in
crews out if they are available, but they will. Yeah, and also we're going to try and get you back here to continue this conversation because I think a lot of people really enjoying it, are enjoying it. It's going to be on our YouTube channel because we're live there. And thank you very much for coming in and support. If you haven't subscribed yet to Feferity Radio, please make sure you do subscribe. We're growing by day, but we have lots of content for you.
Can I ask a question? I always hear people say subscribe. What does that mean?
What's that?
Subscribe. What it mean?
It's when you click on the subscribe button, on
and then what happened after that?
And then it changes. That means you will be kept informed about content from that channel. And if you
because
put
I
your
was hear people say
notification on,
subscribe.
Yeah.
So what am I subscribe
and you put your
to?
notification as well, so that you get a notification about the content coming out from that channel.
Well, let me say Dupwe Madasi, thank you for inviting me to your station and doing the interview. I enjoyed it myself, definitely.
No, thank you very much, and I look forward to the second time. Well, we all know what's going on. You like to party as well. I mean, this is a special party coming up next week. Have you booked your place?
What party?
Next week? I mean, you didn't know about your best friend's party jubilee celebration. You want to tell us about you booked your place for that?
What party?
I'm an man pretend like you don't know,
What party are you talking about? Oh!
I told you.
Oh!
Your man is gonna love it. Tell us what you got prepared, man.
Well, I don't think so. Nobody who talk like me I go there, but I'm sure people who talk like you I go there. No, interestingly enough, on June the 3rd, which is this Friday, Galaxy we're having something that Galaxy has started over a number of years, celebrating our parents and ancestors, and we call it our Parents and Ancestors Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
When is this?
This is from June the 3rd, which is Friday, isn't it?
Okay, that's coincide of the Queen's Jubilee.
Yeah. It's this Friday where we're celebrating our ancestors, our Parents and Ancestors Day. It's normally the 6th of the 6th, but because they've moved the bank holiday.
Yeah.
Because they've moved the bank holiday, and on the 6th itself, people probably be working, so they won't be able to come. And so they.
But if you're celebrating the Queen's Jubilee, you can be part of it as well, can you?
No, we're not celebrate that. We're celebrating.
No, just in case somebody else, you know what I mean? It's like want to party on that day.
No, we're celebrating our Parents and Ancestors Day.
Okay.
And that's June the 3rd, and it's at Elm Community Center, 86 Bellington Road, Southeast. 15 starts at 4 p.m., finishes at 11. Come with your parents, come with your friends. It's a free event. Yeah, and it's put on by GalaxyAfiwi.net.
I was saying to someone, and they were saying, this is going to be an interesting one. I goes, yeah, he's loved. I mean, he's a man who loved the Queen. And he's...
Who that?
I was telling them that, my man Kwaku.
Who well, man, hey, nobody spread them false rumor, Yeah.
Well, you've had it for yourself.
Yeah, me not deal with the devil. Me not deal with the devil, Listen, that woman's been queen for 70 years. And in that 70 years, the amount of atrocities that's happened to African people upon the continent, in the Caribbean and here, by her government and her army, and she's never one day apologized. Celebrate for birthday.
You know, I mean, is that typical of Boris Johnson as well? Because, you know, I mean, he's carry on with what he's doing.
Yeah, then him and I no friend. Him and I no friend.
This is how we're going to do it here.
The wicked of them.
And this is what he said he wants, you know, man in the hills.
Can I just go out and say to the people, I want to thank all the people them that is taking their time out to sit down and listen to the interview that my brother Freestyle has done. I want to thank Fefferity Radio and all the listeners. And we ask the ancestors to watch over your, guide and protect you. And Timaji Laro Kutu Kutu Olodumare Jaw Jekaba. You know, may the path that we take be a righteous and prosperous path, or Olodumare clear our path and give us that. And I'm asking all of you, stay safe and stay African. Otep.
Prophet Kwaku, thank you very much for coming in here for Fefferity Radio. And thank you all for listening and participating to the show. Please make sure you go and spread out the word and share the link. And please make sure you subscribe to our channel. And we're here 24/7. Make sure you listen to our power play here on Fefferity Radio. And we got plenty for you over the weekend here on Fefferity Radio. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Freestyle. And thank you, my brother, Prophet Kwaku.
Pick up the bramble to keep the fire blazing. To keep my fire blazing. Blazing fire, fire. And if we should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. My mother had that girl, work my mother for your children. My mother had that girl, work my mother for your children.
I want to say a special thank you to Sister Joy from Jamaica and to all the people from the Caribbean and everywhere you're listening. Thank you very much. And we hope you stay with us and continue. We have download. You can download us on your Play Store from iPhone or Android. Thank you very much for listening.
The sounds of the hill, and if we should live up in sounds of the hill, sounds of the hill, and if we should live up in the hill, and if we should live up in the hill, and if we should live up in the hill. Should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. And if we should live up in the hill. Should live up in the hills, and if we should live up in the hills, I remember the man in the hills, and if we should live up in the hills, stay in there, enjoy it, and if we should live up in the hills,